All right, so it's May 22nd. We're gonna be planting either today or tonight or tomorrow morning. This is about roughly 1.2 acres. We have had half of it into a food plot, but this is the first year where the whole thing, this food plot, you can kind of see where that area that was all grass and goldenrod. It's kind of a wetter food plot. That's why I kind of wanted to wait it a little bit later to plant it in case we got a bunch of rain. Because last year I had corn here and almost half of it flooded out and kind of killed a lot of it. So we're gonna fertilize. You can see I already pre-sprayed like 2 or 3 weeks ago. There's already some green weeds coming up. So I'm gonna broadcast the fertilizer and then I'm gonna disc it all up today and either plant tonight or tomorrow morning. So that's the plan. Cole's gonna get some awesome drone footage of the disking. So yeah, let's get going.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules. My life destroyed, a life destroyed. Until I walk awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero? Fly away. It's the first time of today. Today. To dream, believe. You are the strength, you're all I need. Oh, gonna give it a shot. Only one of me to shield you all from the enemy. You're a superhero. You're a superhero. Can I be your superhero? Superhero. 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 Can I be your superhero?
We're double planting a lot of this corn because in this wet ground there is all kinds of water hemp weeds, and just we have a lot of issues with weed control in these wet fields like this. So the faster this corn can canopy over, the better. And I did a lot of double planting like this last year, even in our drier fields, and you know, it produced almost as good as, you know, the normal planting method, which we do is 1 38-inch row and then move over and do 1 tight row and then a wider row, a tight row, wider row. If you double plant, it produces almost just as good. It might suck up more nutrients out of the soil, obviously, but it definitely will suck up more water. But in these wet ground areas, there's plenty of water. This ground is actually too wet right now probably to be planting. But as you can tell, there's 4 rows here, 2 there and 2 there. These outside tracks are from the tires on the planter. So and probably maybe like 6 to 7 feet there's 4 rows. So this area right here is approximately about a 1/4 acre, maybe it's probably closer to a 1/3 of an acre, because that field over there, which is half pumpkins, half soybeans, that's exactly a 1/2 acre. And then we got this little area right here, which is new, this little triangle piece, that worked up section, that's really small. That's probably 1/8 of an acre. So that 1/8 of an acre and this 1/3 of an acre is almost a 1/2 acre of corn here, and we got about a 1/4 acre of beans in that field. And this is just the stuff close to the main farm, buildings and everything. And then we got, you know, way more stuff out that way, where we just were. So I calculated it, we're gonna have roughly 4 acres of winter food this year, which is way more than what we've ever had. Last year they consumed everything by end of February. Yeah, he just said we're almost out of gas. The 4-wheeler pulls this pretty easily, but it sure sucks the fuel out of it, so it's definitely working. But well, here's the second spot in the video. You can see this side of the plot's just a mess. This side looks phenomenal. This is like some of the best looking corn I've ever grown. I didn't mention it when planting, but we had 2 different types of corn. This right here was seed silage corn. We accidentally bought silage corn, but we grew silage corn in the past, and it grows decent cobs. It's just the kernels are a little smaller. And then this side is the recycled corn. There's a lot of recycled corn in the other field that looks pretty good, better than this stuff. Just at this plot, the cranes always pull out a lot of corn in every year for some reason. So you can see how thin this stuff is, and there's a lot of weeds coming in here. And even the soybeans along the edge there, they got browsed really bad for some reason, way up here by the road. I don't know if the deer were coming from across the road way over here, but something. But anyways, this side is all canopied over and looks phenomenal. I mean, there's weeds in there, but everything's canopied over, and it's just looks amazing. But this seed corn is literally just corn that we I think this was 2 years ago. We had a lot of extra corn. I picked like a couple bags and shelled some of it out. We planted some last year and it turned out fine, especially in the drier areas. But in this wetter spot, like I said, the cranes always love hanging around here, and they pulled out probably 50% of this stuff. You know, so it's not that it didn't germinate, it just got pulled out. For some reason the cranes pulled more of this out than they did the seed corn. Maybe the seed corn, you know, tasted, maybe it had a chemical on the seed, so they didn't like to eat it when it was young. But yeah, the cranes pull a lot of it out. Now there's a bunch of weeds coming in, so it looks like crap. But most of this field, I'd say half of it, is just all this just nice slush, well canopied over. And plus the planter, this seed corn, it was a little smaller, so it planted it a lot thicker. It came out a lot thicker. That stuff, you know, pretty big kernels from the harvested corn, so it didn't really plant it as thick either, so that didn't help. Yeah, this stuff is almost waist high. So we got one really wide row in here. Must have just missed it a little bit, but yeah, see how tightly planted all this is. You know, really nice spacing of the plants. Maybe a little too thick in some areas, but all of this is gonna have ears. It's just, they might not be the foot-long ears that we've had in the past, but having it so thick like this helps suppress the weeds, and we should get a higher yield out of it because, you know, just more plants per acre. It's not extremely thick where it's not gonna survive, you know, where it's gonna choke itself out, but it should produce really nicely this winter. Well, here we are back at the big 1 acre field. This is approximately 1.3 or 1.4 acres, somewhere in there, almost 1.5 acres. And it's primarily all corn this year. Right here in front of me, this is the worst looking spot. You can see the beans are just nasty. Look at how yellow that is. The deer are not even gonna eat on them. When they first came up, the deer browsed them really hard. I got a strip of beans like this on this side and a strip along the other side, and they pretty much cleaned them up completely. But now that they've grown up a little taller, they're starting to get yellow, so they're obviously lacking potassium or phosphorus. I put, I think it was 3 bags on this plot when I was planting it, and I dumped another 3 bags, hand spread another 3 bags about a week ago. I put it extra strong right up here in front where this corn looks weak, and everywhere where the beans were. In the middle of the plot, that's all the new ground. This area right here, and then right about where that corn gets taller is all, well, where it's, I'll just walk in here and show you. We got 2 different types of corn in this field. We accidentally bought silage seed corn this year, so that's what this taller stuff is. All of this is recycled corn. It would have been 2 years ago we had quite a bit of extra corn, so I picked a few extra bags, and it would have been March after shed season. We had leftover corn, and that's what this is. I shelled it out and ran it through the corn planter. I planted some of this last year in areas, and it does exactly, it grows just as good as the seed corn, but I've noticed the corn planter plants it a little bit thin. You can see those big gaps right there. That's because these kernels are bigger, because they're, you know, they're grown corn. It's bigger kernels than the seed corn kernels, so the corn planter doesn't plant it quite as thick as it should. And I probably should have double planted all of this. This is a 38-inch row. I should have double planted everything into tight rows like that. Anyways, this is the silage corn over here. This is seed corn, and this silage corn kernels, they were smaller than the normal corn, and it planted it super thick, which is really nice. Look at how canopied over this stuff is. You can't even see the ground in there. That's what you want. I mean, there's weeds in there, but now that the corn is getting up above that, it should shade out everything else. But this stuff right here, this is the recycled corn. It looks fine, but it's just a little thin. But I don't understand why that front of the plot, even the corn right there, is just really weak. But the rest of this corn in here looks a little better. Definitely weaker than the seed corn here. And there's just lots of weeds coming in here. This swampy field, it's just full of this water hemp, this really hard weed to kill. I mean, it's everywhere in here. That stuff right there. The silage corn goes all the way to here, and then this is all seed corn going all the way over. You can see there's a couple big gaps in here, but on this new ground, first year ever planted here, this corn looks definitely a little taller, darker green, and there is less weeds here too. Really thin right here. This is the thinnest area. I don't know what happened here, but you know, overall, you know, there's gonna be plenty of corn here for the deer this winter. Here are the beans on this side. These beans don't look quite as yellow, but they still don't look like they should, and they're really small because they've been browsed back a lot by the deer. All of them got nipped like right away, and then it doesn't look like the deer are touching them too much now that they're kind of non-palatable, as you would say, I guess. You can see like right here's one that didn't get eaten on at all, and these other ones around it have all been browsed down. This soil is pitch black. It's really dark, high. It's got like 12% organic matter, and it's not nearly as good as you would think, because the darker the soil I found on our property, the more freaking fertilizer we need to add. It's just kind of deceiving how good this stuff really is. It's not really as good as you'd think. We got clay ground in our backyard. I mean, as soon as you plant and get a rain, it crusts over and turns into like concrete, and that stuff, we hardly have to fertilize at all, and it grows just as good, if not better, than the stuff we have out here in this, you know, really high, rich organic matter soil. And you can see like that new stuff, that's all the goldenrod and canary grass all chopped up. I sprayed that, would have been like early May, and then, you know, I ripped it all up. You saw that with the drone footage. That's all the new ground. Basically from here over is all new, and this stuff has been planted in the past. That's why there's none of that debris on top of the ground. So it's kind of interesting to see, you know, how well this stuff's doing. This is going to be a heck of a lot of corn right here. Like I said, almost an acre and a half. And then we got a later planted 1 acre bean field right here. This is the core food source this winter. These beans are all coming up looking fantastic. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. There'll be a few more coming out. Pretty soon I'll be planting brass because that's, you know, right around the corner. But yeah, I just can't wait to see how many deer are going to use these plots this winter. It's going to be insane. We have more food than we've ever had on our property here. So hopefully we find a few sheds. That's not really the sole purpose of planting food, but I just love coming out here in the wintertime and just seeing everything just torn up by deer tracks and just all the trails coming in and out of the property and stuff. It's just insane what this late season food does. It just pulls in deer from everywhere. Yeah, I'll be doing updates of the corn and soybeans probably sometime in late July, early August, when all this stuff is tasseled out and starting to get ears on it. So yeah, that'll probably be the next time you see this plot and a lot of the other plots. So yeah, thanks for watching.